Hello, GH 101. We're doing our getting started with our programming, and we are at the point where it's time to actually start talking about programming concepts, basic programming concepts, and classic beginning programs. All right, so I want to say just a little bit about programming on our notes here. Here is, let's see, we have how programming works. Okay, so we'll take a few notes here. What is a program? So the quick answer to what is a program, it's a set of instructions that the computer follows. It is always in a very precise language. And the computer only does exactly what it's told to do. It is not smart. So we don't have the benefit of super intelligent AI programming. The computer just does exactly what we tell it to do, and we will see many examples of that. Okay, so it's a set of instructions, and it's a very precise language. The computer will be extremely picky about us making mistakes. All right, common problems that come around. Syntax error is we didn't follow the rules of the programming language, and we will see examples of those very soon. So this means what we have is not even a valid or legal program. So the programming language has rules about what's allowed, and we made a mistake. All right, logical error is we have a valid or legal program, but there's some mistake in the logic, right? We can run the program, but it doesn't do what we want. So syntax errors, you could think of this as you could have a syntax error for speaking to humans, telling a human what to do. This could be like you have instructions and there's a spelling mistake. Okay, so if I have a spelling mistake right here, you can still read it because you're intelligent. The computer is stupid. It just follows the rules, and it doesn't have a rule for a misspelled word. That's just not allowed. Okay, so in English, a spelling mistake or any other improper grammar, right? So your grammar rules about things that are allowed and things that are not allowed. If you were talking to a computer in a programming language, it would say, I don't understand. That's not okay. Okay, I think that's enough about that for now. So let's just say one other thing. So pseudocode is, so this is instructions written like a computer program, but not in as precise of a language. Typically written for people to read. So computer's not actually going to run pseudocode. It's for people to say, this is the basic structure of my program. So I could have something like, let's say I want to determine if a given number x is prime or not prime, and we'll be actually maybe doing that as an example pretty soon. So I could say something like for each integer from 2 up to x minus 1, maybe I would say if, let's say if that integer evenly divides x, then x is not prime. That's what it means to be not prime, is there's some integer that evenly divides it. All right, and then after we test all of those, if none of those integers evenly divides x, then x is prime. All right, so that sort of looks like it has the basic structure of a computer program, but it's definitely not from any precise programming language. All right. So I want to go over here and say some things about what we're going to be taking notes on. What I have here is headings for the basic things that we're going to have to learn no matter what the programming language is. There are some things that are true in every language. Okay, so in every language, I'll just start here. So there's some notion of what the basic data types are. So basic data types. All right, in R, there are a few. So there's something called numeric. There's something called vector. There's something called list, matrix, character, factor, and data frame. Okay, so there's ways in R to specify numbers. Matrix is very much like a matrix from math. If you've looked at matrices in math, which are just like tables of numbers, that's what a matrix is. So this is going to be and logical. So we're going to take notes on what are the basic data types in R and how do you know what data type something is. All right, so no matter what the programming language, that's something that you're going to need to understand is what are the data types, what can the variables be, what can the data be. There are going to be keywords for doing different things. Over in the base R cheat sheet, a lot of the things that we were looking at were keywords. So these are, when you're in a program, these have a special meaning. So looking at the base R cheat sheet, these things over here, so the word for with a lowercase f, the word in, while, if, else, function, return, those are all keywords. They mean something special to R, and oftentimes they mean something that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to keep a list of keywords and what they mean. We have for, in, and these are lowercase. Programming is almost always case sensitive. And keywords are normally lowercase in programming. For, in, while, if, else, function, and return. Those are all just off the base R cheat sheet as keywords that we have to say what they do. Let's look around for a few more. Most of the rest of this actually are not keywords, so we'll say something else about those other things pretty soon. All right, that's enough for that. So these are keywords in the language, and we'll be filling that information out and looking at small programs. Punctuation is kind of like keywords, that punctuation items often mean something special to the program. So something that will be just wonderful for you to try and remember is there's parenthesis, and they have one meaning. If you're writing things in math or just in regular writing, square brackets in English you could just use for the same way you use parenthesis. But in programming, it's often the case that square brackets mean something completely different than parenthesis. And then we have this other thing which is called a curly brace, and that means something still completely different. All right, so we can keep a list of what the different punctuation items mean. Okay, and then the last thing that I have here to keep notes on is a list of functions and commands. So we have keywords, and there's other things that are called functions. Let's make a note over here about our basic programming. So function or procedure, this is something for you to memorize, is a named, let's see, or a sequence of instructions to do something that other parts of your program can use. Typically, function has a name, does something useful. Functions can be built in. Automatically you have access to them, and you can make your own. So function is just some bunch of code that does something. All right, and most of the things that are on this BaseR cheat sheet are actually functions. So there's a built-in function min that if I tell it 3, 5, 7, it gives me the minimum. What do you think max would give? Max, and mean is the average. These are built-in functions. Okay, then over in our notes, I want to keep track of the most commonly used max, min, mean. There's also sum. Sum means adding up. So that's just adding up 3 plus 5 plus 7. What do you think about prod? Is there prod? I don't know. There is. So multiplying them all together. Sum, prod, and we could just keep adding to this as we have more functions that we use. All right, so the point is these are all different parts of the programming language itself, and if we study other programming languages, we would start with this same basic, to be able to use R, we need to know what the data types are. We got to know what the keywords are and what they're for. We have to know what the punctuation means and the commonly used functions. All right, let's say that's that, and we'll get into some basic programs in the next video, trying to keep these videos short. So see you in the next one.